Essentially how your package will look when you receive it, minus all the annoying packaging material for shipping. Every unit comes complete with screens to protect the roots from going down into the rest of the system. You're going to have your tray covers. This is for the very bottom tray. And then your other various sizes are all for whatever size plants you choose to grow. Everything can be ordered custom, from large plants all the way down to medium, and then even smaller on your clones. And then besides those trays, we have all the other material, your manifold system for all the trays, your airplane grade cable, and then your filter cartridge, and a bunch of other parts I'll tell you how to install later. Alright, so I went ahead and saved you the trouble and took everything out of the box and laid it out for you so you can see everything and know what it is. And then you have your top 2-tier trays right here. I went ahead and installed one of the spray assemblies. I'll show you how to do that later. Here's your actual pump. These are your returning drain tubes, feeding top to bottom back to your nutrient tray, preventing any splash out. This is going to be your manifold system, which will pump the water from top to bottom to the 2 trays. And then this is going to be your bottom tray cover, preventing any splash out. And then right here you have multiple options on size, from large to medium, depending on what kind of plants you're looking to grow. But everything's customizable as far as when you order, so it's just personal preference. Alright, right now I'm going to show you how to install the spray assembly into each tray. It's real easy. It all comes pre-assembled. You'll see different colored spray nozzles, just for different styles of spray to accommodate the plant's needs. To install the actual assembly into the tray, all you have to do is unscrew this outer plastic ring. Remember, everything is reverse threading, so if you're struggling, just go ahead and turn it the other way. You'll take off the seal, and then you'll pop it through the back side. There's a small hole right there. Just pop it through there. Throw that seal back on. Make sure you can read the outer part. And just go ahead and follow that arrow for reverse threading. You're going to want to hand tighten it until you can't go any further. And then just give it one good firm turn so you don't get any leaks later. Be careful when you tighten it. You don't want to over tighten it because you may risk cracking the actual tray.
Go.
Alright, step 1, you're going to hang your cable. Very easy to do. This is what the final product looks like. We did roll up the cable so it doesn't get in the way. You're going to want to hang it to where that bottom piece is flush with the ground and touching. We pre-measured these cable locks in the factory, so it's going to keep the trays nice and horizontal from cable to cable, and they're not going to fluctuate and do things you don't want. So to hang them, this is your cable locking mechanism. This is what you're going to use to set the cable in place before you can hang your trays. To adjust this mechanism, all you have to do is follow the arrow, push it that way, and then you can slide your cable in and out to adjust accordingly. Down here we have the cable lock mechanism for the tray. That's a little bit different. To adjust that, you simply unscrew it all the way and then just turn it slightly so it's sitting back on top. Once it's sitting there, you can push it in, and then you'll be able to slide it up and down on the cable to adjust according to tray height. Once you have it where you want it, you lock it back in, and it won't be able to slide around anymore. And use whatever you feel will support the weight in the containers. Now we want to make sure that you do assess that properly before you install it. I don't want anything funky happening with your supporting structure. Everything we use is commercial grade stainless steel. This is airline grade cable, so we're good to go on our end. Just double check your end before you do the install. So I have Colton here to help me make sure that this bottom piece is going to touch the ground properly. That way we can do it right the first time and not have to adjust later. But if you are doing it by yourself, that's okay. It just might take a couple tries. Make sure it's flush top to bottom, it's not going side to side, and then go ahead and lock it in. Are we good? Mm-hmm. Sweet. That one's good to go. I'll roll this up to get the cable out of the way, and I'll install the other two.
3.
Alright, so fast forwarding, I went ahead and hung the 2 other cables in the back. I rolled up the excess slack, and I double checked the measurements. For your more at-home purposes, it's going to be 18 in width by 26 in length. I say at home because our structure is already preset for those measurements to support it. After you hang your cables, you want to double check. Each kit is different depending on if you have a 1, 2, or 3 tier unit. So the instructions will actually say where these cable locks should be at, so all the trays are parallel with each other when they hang. And we'll go ahead and preset those in the factory, but it's always good to double check, make sure everything's on point, 18 by 26, and then double check each tray's height on the measurements and make sure everything is accurate so you can go ahead and hang your trays. Okay, so before we can install the nutrient tray in line with the other 2 trays, we need to first install the filter cartridge. That'll simply screw on to that bottom left hole. And just go ahead and hand tighten it all the way. And there are some red lines on there. You're going to want to make sure that those are facing down in line with the suction holes in the filter so it sucks from the bottom. As you can see, you can't see them, so they are facing down, so that's good to go. And this is a valve that you're going to use to prime the pump. Once you got everything going, you can close it or turn it on to allow water to flow into the pump so it's easier to get going initially. And that'll actually screw on right here as well. Now everything is detachable, so if you're having trouble, feel free to pull that off and then pop it on later. So that screws in, this pops right back on, and you're good to go to prime it later. For the instructional purposes, I'm going to go ahead and install it backwards so you can see where the assembly comes out to the manifold and attaches to the pump. So the front of the unit is on the opposite end of me. To hang each tray, you're going to go ahead and insert the cable into the slit on the side of the tray. Once you get that in there, you just slide it down so it pops into place. It is easier to do this with 2 people, but if you're clever, you can do it by yourself, just by supporting the tray as you walk around and lock each piece in. So once I have them all in their place, you just want to check to make sure this piece of metal is on top and everything's nice and even. Alright, so before we install the nutrient tray into the system, we're going to go ahead and hook up the pump to the filter right here. You can use a flathead or you can use this guy if you have one. Just go ahead and loosen them up. Talking about the radiator clamps for all the plumbing that will be reattached versus the locking clamps that are permanent. You can go ahead and push that on there. You may have to use a bit of force, or if you have a heat gun or a hair dryer, you can actually heat up the plastic to make it more pliable for an easier installation. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach the rest of the manifold system so we can pump water from the nutrient tray to the second tray all the way to the top. You'll start with this bottom piece. You'll notice there's some plumbing real close to each other. That's going to pop right onto the pump and into the nutrient tray right there. So I'll go ahead and tighten my 2 radiator clamps down here, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, cool. Now that we have all the radiator clamps nice and tight onto each tray and the nutrient cartridge, we're pretty much good to run water. You're just going to want to double check all your radiator clamps to make sure they're tight and secure, and also check your spray assembly where you had hand tightened it down here to make sure those are nice and tight and secure so we won't have to deal with any leaks. Alright, so now that we have the manifold installed, we're going to want to test it out, and before we can fill it with water to test it out, we're going to want to go ahead and install our drains and our tray covers. That way we have less splash out. You do have the option to put plastic over them, or you can insert the baskets and fill it with media. So we're just going to pop this guy on right here, like so, and then we'll screw in our drain tubing to prevent any splash out. Take your time when you line up these threads because they can be tricky. Cool. So now that's all good to go. It'll drain directly down below, and we'll have a tray cover up here, and you can go ahead and do a test run.